Carlos Fernandez, Julian Fernandez, Maria Fernandez Lorenzo, Victor Fernandez, Daisy Fern, Michael Zachary Firth, Jenna Fitzgerald, Christopher Flamia, Luke Flanagan, Dominique Fletcher, Liliana Florencia, Jose DeAndre Forrest, Jalen Francois, Jimmy Francois, Demetrius Franzen, LaAndre Freeman, Megan Galloway, David Galvez Rodriguez, Jonathan Garcia, Joshua Garcia, Leonardo Garcia, Zachary Gardner, Joshua Garfield, Luciana Garzona, Ella Gates, Ryan Gibbons, Jonathan Glanville, Emily Glick, Kira Goforth, Sarah Goldberg, Zachary Goldsmith, Alexis Golinger, Amanda Golinger, Jacob Golub, Jonathan Gomez, Gabriela Gonzalez, Kevin Gonzalez, Shade Grandinson, Michaela Graves, Brandon Greaves, Paige Greck, Samantha Grimaldo Maldonado, Colin Grimmel, Zachary Groover, Morgan Gumbar, Alexis Guajardo, Nicholas Guajardo, Rosalind Guevara, Endora Guillaume, Claire Hafke, Alexandra Hahn, Carter Hall, Faith Hamilton, Micaiah Hamilton, Haley Hammett, Ashanti Hampton, Syed Hamza, Gregory Hanford, Dylan Hankins, Nicole Hanrahan, Lauren Hansel, Hallie Hartman, Brandon Harville, Andrew House, Richard Havens, Nathan Hedrick, Jesse Hecker, Abigail Heitman, Joshua Helton, Madison Harrington, Amanda Hernandez, Andrea Hernandez, Guadalupe Hernandez, Savannah Heron, Brian Hirsch, Robert Hodgins, Annabelle Hoffman, Madison Hoffman, Caitlin Hoger, Samuel Horace, Hannah Horn, Miles Hughes, Zachary Hulse, Alyssa Hutchinson Brown, Amanda Iciello, Hazer Elate, Nicholas Irving, Nicholas Isidro, Gwendolyn Jack, Lisa Jackson, Matthew Jacobs, Allison Jacks, Eden Jadawi, Eunice Jadawi, Riley Jameson, Samuel Jandorf, Umbreen Jajuda, Cassandra Jaramillo, Magdalene Jean-Baptiste, Abigail Jean-Francois, Joshua Jean, Amanda Jean-Louise, Andy Jiang, Jadez Japal, Aiden Johnson, Carmen Jones, Garcelle Joseph, Tamar Joseph, Jake Josephson, Ryan Jewell, Bradley Justy, Brendan Kaplan, Olivia Keene, Morgan Keith, Jenna Kennedy, Isaac Kim, Genevieve King, Riley Kloss, Justin Klein, Jackson Klein Richard, Samantha Klein, Evan Kornblum, Sarah Koronic, Zachary Krupp, Tiana Kuhn, Samuel Cuno, Arya Kiata, Casey Kyle, Victoria Blackman, Dylan LaCroix, Shayla Lake, Hannah Landsberg, William Lane, Shamael Lartigue, Luvia Laurent, Sarah Laurent, Tiffany Law, Dylan Lazaukis, Caitlin Lee, Margie Lee, Adam Leach, Brandon Leonard, Justin Leonard, Austin Leone, Chad Leventhal, Jacob Levin, Boaz Levine, Reagan Lewis, Quinn Ying Lee, James Lilly, Nicholas Lima, Karis Linnett, Samantha Lobax, Gaetano Lagrasso, Isabella Lagrasso, Valentino Lagrasso, Destiny Lopez, George Lopez, Jamie Lopez, Kreja Lormis, Kayla Lauterbach, Hans Luis Giun, Mark Duhamel Luis, Ryan Lubin, Mariana Lumpkins, Kaylee Lynch,
Dylan Magestro, Hallie Mann, Mia Malave, Madison Malone, Aidan Maloney, Brianna Maloney, Leonardo Maloof Martin, Courtney Mamone, Juliana Mancino, Jessica Mann, Serafina Mann, Connor Marcellus, Lily Marcellus, Colby Marcoux, Cassandra Margosian, Robert Marinin, Chloe Martinson, Paige Martin, Nedley Martinborough, Daisy Martinez, Diego Martinez, Maria Martinez Valle, Anthony Maspoch, Tyler Massa, Haley Masterson, Daniel Mathice, Daniel McCarthy, Zachary McCormick, Robin McFarland, Lucas McGee, Rasheen McCain, Jake McNeil, Christian Medina, Taylor Medina, Eric Melendez, Caillou Mendez, Giovanni Mendez, Noel Mercado, Mikel Merchant, Dominic Merrow, Stone Merrill, Joshua Messer, Gabriella Muse, Amanda Meyer, Dylan Michaud, Chase Michon, Nicole Mickey, Moises Miguel, Jordan Miley, Colin Miller, Jacqueline Miller, Sierra Miller, Victor Miller, Anaya Malines Irby, Benjamin Moffett, Dylan Mohali, Aaron Mole, Alphonse Moise, Amy Moeller, Vincent Monaco, Claire Montgomery, Paul Moody, Miyoshi Moore, Jasmine Morales, Isabella Moreno, Mackenzie Morgan, Sapphire Morgan, Nicholas Moranisi, Jake Moynihan, Nicole Muley, Alessandra Mulero, Zachary Mulhall, Dylan Murray, Zachary Muria, Abigail Myers, Kaylee Myers, Saad Nabil, Hannah Nasser, Nardine Nator, Adrian Neely, Sarah Neal, Kyle Nielsen, Cameron Nelson, Long Win, Fong Win, Tu Win, Vu Win, Javier Nieves, Mika Noel, Kit Noel.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, July 30th, 2020 at 9:07 a.m. and I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Ian Superville. I'm a construction purchasing agent for the School District of Palm Beach County, and I'm being assisted by our document analyst, Patricia Maroney. This election committee meeting is being held virtually via Google Meet technology, as well as being recorded and broadcast live. Purpose of today's meeting is to select the top-ranking proposer to be awarded a design contract for Grove Park Elementary School modernization. We have our committee members and presenting firms joining us via Google Meet and our public attending via the various methods available on the district's public information website. Should we encounter technical difficulties at any time during our meeting, we will need to recess until those issues are resolved. Committee members and presenting firms, please do not leave the Google Meet. Public comments will be invited after presentations have concluded and before the committee commences to complete the final scoring process. Following completion of the presentations, a dedicated phone line will be open for a 5-minute window for the public to offer comments relative to the content of the presentations. Some virtual meeting reminders. A few reminders of proper virtual meeting etiquette before we begin. Please keep your microphones muted when not speaking and be mindful of background noises. Remember, you and your background are visible. Video, voice, and chat comments are being recorded as well. Committee members, please use the chat box on your screens to communicate with Pat for technology problems or any other issues that can be handled without interrupting the meeting. Let us begin by introducing our committee members. Please state your name and who you represent for the record as you are called upon. Glenn?
It's Glenn Armbruster. I'm with Facilities Construction, and I am the Senior Project Administrator.
Thank you, Glenn. Patrick?
Good morning, Patrick Kuzosom with the Office of Diversity Manager.
Thank you, Patrick. Aaron?
Good morning, Aaron Howard, Palm Beach County School District, Senior Project Administrator, Facilities Construction.
Thank you, Aaron. Shams?
Good morning, Shams Mogadam, Building Code Services, Electrical Engineer.
Thank you, Shams. Michael?
Good morning, Michael Owens, a Senior Planner with the School District's Planning Department.
Thank you, Michael. And David?
David Porter, I'm the architect and chair of the Construction Oversight Review Committee, and I'm not a school district employee, volunteer.
Thank you, David. I'd like to announce that we have a quorum of members present. Next, we will record attendance out of our firm, the first firm, PGAL. Please identify yourself by full name, beginning with Sam.
Good morning, I'm Sam Ferrari, principal with PGAL, and I'll be the principal in charge.
Thank you, Sam.
Ian Nestler with PGAL. I'll be the project manager on this project.
Thank you, Ian.
And I'm Jessica Lentner. I'd be the project architect with PGAL.
Thank you, Jessica.
And Julie Edwards is on the phone with PGAL. I'll be running the presentation.
Thanks, Julie. Instructions to our committee. The purpose of this meeting is to select a top-ranking firm to be recommended to the board for an award. Final point awards should not be completed until the close of discussion period and the public comments have been offered. Committee members should consider the discussion and responses from proposers to questions raised by the evaluation committee and may consider public comment as appropriate. Committee members should identify distinctions between the information presented by each proposer in order to differentiate their point awards to proposers to avoid identical point awards and ties in ranking order whenever possible. Committee members, should you have a question for a proposer, please direct your question to the team so the appropriate member may respond. Also acknowledge when your question has been sufficiently answered. Instructions to proposers. You will have 20 minutes for your presentation. I will let you know when you are down to your final 2 minutes. At that time, we will open the floor to an allotted 20 minutes of questions and answers. However, should we need more time, adjustments will be made. I will begin with Glenn and work my way through the committee alphabetically. If a committee member has a question for you, they will direct it to one of your team members. Please make your answer to their question brief to allow committee members an opportunity to ask more than one question as time permits. Also, please remember that it is not a marketing opportunity for your company. Please state your name before replying to each question. Are there any questions before we begin?
No questions.
Thank you. Before we begin our first presentation, committee members, please turn off your cameras and mute your mics to avoid echoes and feedback. Thank you. We will now begin with our first presentation from PGAL.
But before you begin, I'm so sorry that I have to ask you to pause for just a second.
Okay.
Everyone, please pause for just a second and close your microphones, please. Thank you.
Can anybody hear me on this?
I can hear you with a lot of echo. Is that you, Raymond?
No, the participant has to turn his laptop down. That's probably what is happening.
Okay, everybody, we can continue. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Tricia. So I will now ask PGAL to begin, and I will start the timer. Sam, you may begin.
Sam, I think you're muted. I don't know if the mute was done for the school district.
Sam, you need to unmute your mic. Ian, I believe that Sam might have lost his connection, so I believe you may have to stop the timer. I see that his camera is frozen as well.
That's fine. The timer has not started.
Jess, I'm not sure. Are you in the room with Sam?
I am not, just Julie.
Okay. Julie, can you hear us?
All right, I'm calling.
I will reach out to Julie as well, Ian.
Thank you.
Oh, Julie just texted me that she got booted.
during that last little go around. Don't know why.
Okay, we will give her a minute to go ahead and rejoin the meet, and we'll accept when she rejoins.
Okay, I'll let her know.
Mr. Nessler, go ahead and mute your mic while we wait. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, the clicker is not going on. You can't see the screen.
Sam, you are back on camera. If you will mute your mic and let us know when you're ready to begin.
Hi, Sam. Your mic is muted.
Looks like there's still an issue getting back in, but he's getting back in now.
Okay.
It's a good way to ice the kicker, huh?
Okay, can you hear us now?
Oh, you gotta do the three dots and do the audio.
Yes.
You gotta do the three dots.
Okay, tell the number. 99 329 2482 401. I lost it now.
Sam, you do have audio. We can hear you.
Your call will be connected when you answer the phone by the pound key. 065 205 pound. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what happened.
Okay, Sam, you are muted once again. Could you please unmute yourself before you begin your presentation? Sam, if you will unmute your mic before you begin your presentation. And I'm not sure what's happening. Sam,
Patricia, can you hear me?
We can hear you,
Okay.
but now we've lost your camera.
Yes, and so when we unmute, it disconnects the call, the video part of it. So we're trying to reset that, and hopefully it won't kill the audio. Whatever happens.
Us back in. So let's just check that we can see you and hear you first. Tricia, I'll let you pick up from where you think we should start now.
Do the little three dots in that one. I can do that pretty quick.
And when he returns to his seat, we should be able to get going.
Okay, well, now it sounds like they're having problems again.
What happened when basically you said go live, our screen went black.
Oh, you know, sometimes these things happen. No big deal, but we're ready on our end if you guys are, and I'll count you in.
Okay, thank you, and I apologize.
Same for us. So here we go. In 10, 9, 8, 7.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We will now resume the presentations, beginning with the first presenter, PGAL. Sam, you may begin.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I just want to take a second and thank you for this opportunity on behalf of the PGAL team. Basically, I think most of you know our team, but we're a local firm, 32 professionals in Boca Raton, 24 years in Palm Beach County, over 200 design awards, 30 for school designs, and over 90 elementary schools, which I think that's important for the Grove Park project. We've also done 3 replacement schools for county, and we're going to talk a little bit about Addison Meisner, our most recent school, which is very similar to this school, and 23 schools for the districts. Let me talk to you about our team, and I think you've met the team that will be participating this morning, but I'm Sam Ferrari. I'll be the principal in charge. Ian Nestler is our project manager, and Jess Lettner is our project architect. The firms donated in the beige color are our SBE, MBE partners. The importance of this team, and I'll introduce their names in a second, but the importance of this team is it's the same team that's coming off of the Addison Meisner project, and we'll tell you a little bit more how similar that project is. But we've got JLRD for mechanical, Jerzernik Group for structural, Otech Thurlow for civil, Miller Lake for landscape, Jack's Design for kitchen, Ed Duggar and Associates for acoustical, and geotechnical is Tierra, South Florida. So one of the most important things to us is how we rate with you. And so we kind of track that through the PPE scores you provide to us, our performance ratings. And you can see we have over 146 ratings with the school district, over 8 projects. And at the top of the list is Addison Meisner K8, which is now under construction, 13 PPE scores with an average of 3.9 out of 4. Our other active project, Triple O High School, 3.8, and you can see the other projects there. So we believe we listen, we hear what you have to say, and our designs reflect that. So from our standpoint, we try to stay on top of the educational trends, and we see 4 big things in elementary education that are changing. First of all, we know the future will bring change, and it's going to be designed for flexibility, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Number 2 is student safety, reorganizing the existing Grove Park and planning the school for the utmost safety of students and staff. We also know that students today learn differently. They're digital natives. They come to school with computer skills that myself and others probably on the selection committee never had that opportunity. And finally, the pandemic and post-pandemic, how will it impact student interaction? So talking about the way students learn, when I went to school, basically there was lecture, reading, and collaboration. Now, demonstration, peer learning, and presentation, even at the elementary school, are very important, and we need to create the spaces for that to occur the most effectively. We're going to spend the rest of the presentation talking about our approach and method. And again, safety being paramount, we follow basically the Partner Alliance for School Safety PASS guidelines, and it starts with the school district at campus and then down to campus security. We start with security fencing at Grove Park. It'll be the perimeter, then the parking lot, then the buildings, all the way down to the classroom. So it's important to look at security at each one of these levels throughout our design. We also know that post-COVID may bring differences. We're recently been tasked with parents' questions on Addison Meisner to how the school will reflect post-COVID. And as you can see on a typical classroom, classrooms designed anywhere from 18 to 24, we can fit 26 students. With a 6-foot social distancing, that's going to be reduced down to 16 students. So the flexibility of each of these classroom spaces becomes much more important than in the circulation spaces, the restrooms. How do you basically social distance in all the spaces in the school? And then down to sanitation and also operationally, the mechanical systems, the filtration systems. Those are all things that we know you are doing, but we need to make sure that we do the best job in the design to make those work well. So now Jeff is our project architect, is gonna talk a little bit about opportunities, constraints in your existing site.
Hello, everyone. After reviewing all the data that you provided us with, we created this diagram showing some of the opportunities and constraints that we see as being the most impactful on the school campus modernization project. First is the neighborhood surroundings. We have a great opportunity to provide a defining Grove Park Elementary face to Military Trail and a dynamic secondary face to Investment Lane. We have some wonderful existing trees and could improve our perimeter buffers to provide a safe and secure campus that's friendly to the community, to the city, and to the densely sited residential neighbors. Second, the Castaldi analysis. We have the existing media center and kindergarten classroom buildings slated to remain, which we feel could be very strong starts to a modernized design, and we'll present our thoughts on that in a few slides. We also see the potential to work with the Department of Education to open up our site usage and get approval for those buildings to be removed. On Addison Meisner, our Castaldi process lasted 3 months' time, during which I spearheaded 2 simultaneous design approaches, one keeping the existing structures and one where all would be demolished. And we were ultimately able to deliver the construction documents for a fully modernized campus on schedule. And we're confident that we could provide that level of service to the district again for Grove Park. Finally, an opportunity to move to a holding, if an opportunity to move to a holding school off-site should become unavailable, our analysis suggests that the site could support supplementation of the existing portables such that students could remain on campus, with the added benefit that the existing traffic patterns could be greatly improved. Currently, the buses drop off at Investment and parents at Military, resulting in some off-site traffic issues compounded by the intersection. We would like to propose accommodating the 4 to 5 school buses and the service drive up by the Northwest via Military, with parents and visitors utilizing the existing deceleration lane along Investment, along with smarter, more efficient building layout to completely alleviate the traffic buildup and transition to completely on-site stacking. And this coincides well with our intent to orient the new buildings with canopy and courtyards to minimize heat gain to classrooms and to common spaces. For the utilities, the majority of the existing services and easements are coming in off of the northwest corner. We would improve the service area and chiller yards to minimize the impact on those neighboring residents of the north and improve accessibility for emergency responders. Additionally, we would be able to work with the existing portable and relocatable utility connections such that adequate service would be provided should an on-site holding school be required. And now Ian Nessler, as the project manager, will present on the specifics of the design.
Gotta unmute. Thanks very much, Jess, and good morning to everyone. As Jess just mentioned, we have just come off Addison, where we went through a dual path for quite a while Castaldi was being done. And what we wanted to do was look at the best and worst case scenarios, whether the existing media center and existing kindergarten, building 4 and 5 that are on the site would remain or could potentially be removed. So in the first case, we are going to look at 2 different options, one where they would remain, one where they would be removed. And this just gives you a sense of our process, not necessarily of the final results, but we wanted to take you through that if we possibly could. So each of those options would have a few phases. First phase being the first summer of work. We'll talk about the schedule in a little bit, then construction during the school year, and then the final phase during the last summer to open up. So in phase 1, we would have demolition. We could bring in a new portable component to supplement the existing portables on campus so that you don't have to go off-site for a holding school. We can put some temporary parking and drop-off loop in place to accommodate the circulation that's needed during the construction phase, make sure that that happens. Construction entrance would be up on Military, and we would maintain all the utility connections and extend those as necessary for the new school. In the second phase, we would actually then construct the new school, renovate the existing media center and kindergarten, and add a cafeteria, of course, and the components, the administration, while keeping a secure and safe fence line between the construction activities and the portable school that will be operating for that period of time in the year. And so all the circulation would happen on Investment Lane at that point. Then in the final phase, we would remove the portables. We would reconfigure the final parking lot to provide the kind of parking that's necessary for the campus, which includes the required 75 spaces, but we would be providing at least 75. In this case, we're showing 80 spaces. 975 linear feet is required for queuing. In this particular case, we're showing 1,000 feet, just a little bit over actually, and retention of about 1.5 acres is necessary, and we have that 1.5 acres shown with plenty of room for the play field, the play courts, covered play area, and a wonderful connection. So the secure administrative zone would have been halfway between the drop-off area for parent drop-off and for the bus drop-off. And you'd have access from both sides through a secure administration zone into the new school, and of course to the existing kindergarten as well. Kindergarten would have the area just to the right as kindergarten play area, and we would maintain the media center as a media center, and of course direct connections up to the cafeteria. The loops work very well. We would be able to, in this case, get all of the traffic for parents off of military and onto investment, which is one of the major goals there. If we take a look at the floor plan for the building, you can see on the right here, the ground floor plan. So the center building is the new building, and the media center up to the top left and the kindergarten to the bottom left are existing, would be renovated in accordance with the new standards. And of course the cafeteria up above as well. So all buildings would be interconnected. We've got a wonderful music and art patio that is connected to music and art spaces out to the east. And you can see the general layout, very simple, very easy to construct and to put in place, and very workable with the existing buildings. A view that we would see from the second floor plan stacks on the first, excuse me. And again, you can see on the left some of the images of the spaces that we would be creating within the building. Then a view from Military Trail back at the new school. The existing buildings are in white on the right and the left, and the new construction is in the center, providing a wonderful face. We've taken architectural elements of the existing buildings, which is the low sloped hip roof, and used that as a tower element, both on the main entry feature to the new building, as well as towers that signify where the admin is as well. Then the next one would be if we were able to, in fact, get the Castaldi to agree with our thinking that maybe the media center and kindergarten building should come down. Again, as Jess had mentioned, we had done this with a dual or simultaneous path of design for both options, and we kept both options going completely until we received the final word on the Castaldi and were able to go in a final direction in that particular case. So in this case, we would take down all the buildings that are on the site. The new portable component would be the same. The new loop and drop-off would be the same for phase one. For phase two, we would then construct the new school. In this particular case, we are able, because we've removed the existing media center and cafeteria and those buildings, to provide a much more compact and efficient and secure layout for that school, providing a little bit more open space to the south. In this particular case, we were defining the potential for maybe a grove park or a grove of trees in the center of a little courtyard for the school as a gesture to the name of the campus. And then in the final phase, we would again remove the portables, open it up, provide the required parking, again, more than 75 spaces. Queuing in this case would be over 1,000 feet of queuing when only 975 is required. And the circulation would work very well, again, coming in either from the bus drop or from the parent drop from the south or the north into a secure area where the admin area is. And this plan, you can see, would work very well. Again, a much more compact plan, but both work equally as well. And we've got the correct number of course, classrooms for each of the grades on each level, basically 5 classrooms for K through 5, with the primary on the ground floor, and then on the second floor, we would have 3rd through 5th. A view of this school would then take us shot here again from military looking back. You can see the grove of trees there in the middle behind the bus loop, and the media center off to the right, the 2-story classroom in the center. And now I'd like to speak a little bit about the schedule and then pass it off on the budget. So the schedule would be basically the same for both school constructions. Our intent would be to accelerate our activities during the design and documentation phases to be complete in June of 2021. And that would allow us to get in for permit and allow you all to get a GMP from the construction manager and actually start site work in June and go start construction in July. So you can see a milestone there of 6/15 for us to be done and 7/15 for you to start, or the CM to start construction on the site. Have a full 13 months for construction, with the first summer being the demo and getting the portables in place. The construction could take place very, simply, and then you'd be in a position to open up easily during the second summer with punch out, close out, and commissioning by 8/15 of 22. So that only that allows us to do a combined two-path design during the design development phase and schematic design phase, as you can see with the Castaldi analysis up there, and then 3 months of approval for that, as well as community engagement and the kind of meetings that we've had again on Addison Meisner would be basically a repeat of the process that we just went through, and it has worked out beautifully, and we're under construction with that one, and we're very excited about that. So let me now turn it over to Sam so he can talk a little bit about the budget.
Thank you, Ian. We've looked at the budget from both the leaving buildings 4 and 5 and clearing the whole site. We've got relevant and basically new cost information based on the Addison Meisner GMP, which is back to May. We've also, Addison was one of the first new schools to be affected by the student station costs. So we have been working with Angel Garcia on kind of the soft cost side of the numbers. So we've done an analysis and we use kind of a low and a high range. Your budget's $16,560,000. We see the cost of the school being between hard costs being between 14.7 and 16.4 million. And you can see the analysis on the left with the allowances for soft costs, the total project budget from the construction budget, the allowances that are allowed within the student station cost of the site, the 2% for security, that subtotal. So we believe that we can build the school within the cost containment of the student station cost. And
Excuse
on a
me,
new
Sam,
school,
2 minutes left.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for the new school, again, the cost goes up a little bit because we're building all new versus renovating those 2 buildings. And it takes the cost between the low and a high between right close to the budget, just under the budget at 16.5 to right at the budget. And again, looking at the student station cost on the left, with the allowances, we're at 16.2 million with an allowance of 16.7 on the cost per student station. So we are comfortable that we can build your project, whether it's leaving 4 or 5 or a whole new school within the budget. Those costs do not include your portable costs, but other than that, everything is there. So finally, why should you pick us? Well, we understand your goals and making the right decisions, and we've just gone through that on Addison Meisner. We have a proven track record of working on occupied campuses. We've showed you a couple of plans, again, in a vacuum without your input, but how we can segregate the school and have an occupied campus and a construction site adjoining it. We've got proven ability to deliver your project within budget, and it also is within schedule. We believe we can do that because of our building consensus with all the stakeholders, whether it's your staff, your committees, or the community, or the county in this case. And finally, we're giving you our principal level commitment. Ian and I are committed. We'll be active on this job from start to finish, just like we were with Addison and how we are on O High School. This team is experienced in delivering K-12. And finally, we're honored to be a partner with you, and we think this is important, and we want to continue our relationship with the School District of Palm Beach County. So thank you very much, and we're available for questions.
Thank you, Sam. At this time, we will open up the floor to 20 minutes of question and answer session. Let's begin with Glenn.
Hey, Sam, how you doing? Can you hear me? All right, good.
Yeah.
My questions are going to come basically on the student station cost, and that if you guys can go shoot back to your presentation on the, or pull up your slide on the student station cost. I believe what you said that you can hit student station cost on both projects, whether you are renovating or do a complete new. Is that true?
That is correct. So this is first with buildings 4 and 5 in place. And if you go down to the third blue bar from the top, you'll see 180 student stations under leaving 4 and 5 will be renovated. So basically there's about a $75 a square foot spread when you multiply that. Everything else is pretty well consistent. We think there's a little bit more demolition costs, but again, clearing the whole site versus protecting utilities and to maintain those buildings, I think it's kind of a wash there. And as you can see on the second slide, we get closer to the cost per student station. So we're comfortable that there's enough budget initially with leaving 4 and 5 that taking them out, we can meet your goals.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Patrick?
Yes, good morning again. As you know, this project has a minimum of 15% SBE participation. And how much do you plan to achieve, on this project for SBE?
We plan to exceed the goal. If you can remember back to the slide where we showed our consultants, and this is very similar to, again, Addison, because we have pretty much the same team. Those highlighted in the beige color are all our SBE, MBE partners. And again, they're the major subs, the MEP, the structural, the civil, landscape. So, I mean, we're 30% plus.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Aaron? Aaron Howard, any questions?
Yeah, I keep losing audio for some reason, so if you can't hear me, let me know. What other projects will you have that will run at the same time this one's running? And do you think that'll be an issue?
Good question, Aaron. Basically, the team we're proposing is coming off of Addison Meisner, which is under construction. The project manager on that, Kari Botek, is not on this team. She'll manage that team. Jess Lettner was also on that project. She'll have a little bit of association. We have like a community meeting in a couple of weeks, so she's still a little bit involved with that. But by the time this project starts, this entire team is freed up to go on that project. We have another team that's working on the O High School, which are our 2 projects with you, so there's no overlap of team members in this.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Shams?
I don't have any question. Thanks.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, good morning. Just one question with regards to the proposed plan you showed. You're going to move the vehicular access off of Military to Investment Lane, because I think you mentioned that there was some traffic issues for vehicular entrance and exiting off of Military. Investment Lane, I mean, obviously is a smaller thoroughfare, but I was wondering, and I know most of the students are located west of the school, but is there, with regards to a left turn lane on Investment, because it seems like it's maybe a 2-lane structure with an interior turn lane, do you think there's enough queuing, or you think there'll be, any issues with traffic coming from west to east to make that left turn in versus traffic that may be coming to the school and just otherwise going east to west? Do you think there'd be a conflict there that may back traffic up to Military Trail? I'm just curious, because I didn't know how many people actually drive the kids to the school versus buses.
Okay, so because we've been in COVID, we weren't able to go and observe for the last month, but our civil engineers have reviewed this. We believe there's adequate, well, first of all, we're getting all the, basically all the stacking onto the site of over 1,000 feet, where right now there is no stacking from the military entrance. We're also about 600 or 800 feet away from the intersection of Military and Investment Lane. And there's also a turn lane on Investment Lane into the school, which the buses are currently using. And it's a long turn lane. And then there's also a distance between the overpass. There's an overpass over 95 on Investment Lane. So there's a clear path. And actually, we've observed the traffic patterns, not school related, and Investment Lane is definitely not as busy of a street as Military Trail. So we feel comfortable that this is a better solution, and it'll be very difficult to solve the solution on Military Trail. We also have a staff member, our marketing coordinator, that is an alumnus of Grove Park Elementary. Was before Investment Lane was built through, but she noticed that there's been a traffic problem here for years on this school, and we're hoping to solve that.
Understood. Just one other quick question. You had could you put up the site plan with I guess those buildings that the kindergarten and media center, that if you didn't have to keep them, you could kind of come up with a different site plan? I know there was one that was angled. Okay, this is the site plan in case you don't have to keep the kindergarten building or media, correct?
Correct, and so this becomes a much more compact building. It gives us more site to work with. So let's just get further back away from Military Trail and from Investment Lane, again, for more stacking of buses as well as parents.
The other thing, Michael, on this school is the existing buildings, the kindergarten in particular, has all exterior entries, and so it's a building that is circled by by a covered walkway. And from a safety and security standpoint, we like bringing the classrooms internal and having that internal security and compactness to the school, if it is possible.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. David?
Yeah, I can chime in a little bit about this location. My office happens to, for the last 29 years, has been just to the northwest of this site. So I've been here since before Investment Lane 2. I think you got some site challenges to figure out. I don't know if Investment Lane is the solution. It does get pretty heavily traveled in the morning with cars going from Military Trail over to the industrial area in Riviera Beach over the 95 overpass. But Military Trail also gets backed up for a half mile with parents bringing kids north and trying to then turn into the location. So did the RFP include having to create a temporary campus on the property? Do you know? And again, from the walkthrough, and actually Glenn helped us with some of this information at the walkthrough from the questions is for all the teams. I know there's been discussions of an off-site holding school, but I think there's some political issues with that. And so there really isn't a plan. So that's why we showed basically supplementing the portables that we think we could build on the school. Now, again, if we could move the students off the site, that's going to help us with the timing as well as giving us a little bit more site to work with, more relief in terms of getting that traffic off of either Military or Investment Lane. So that would be the preferred, but if we can't do it, we think we can make it work either way. Last question is, the existing school buildings are all one story, aren't they?
Yes.
So was there any consideration to trying to still work out a plan to keep things one story? Because it looks like both of your schemes go multiple story.
And again, these were just two quick looks on our behalf. Knowing that we might have to keep the kids on the site made it difficult to do a one story. The existing school is like an old pod school. And again, half the school is portable, so it's way more compact than, or takes up more space than a compact school. But that's an option we could look at. We just think in terms of security, having an enclosed
height two-story solution works best, and we can get all the primary grades on the first floor with all the support spaces that are needed.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, David. Do we have any further questions from committee members for PGAL? Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, just to expand on that a little bit, from what I'm seeing, you know, a lot of times when we go to a two-story building, we also have a less of a footprint, one roof instead of expansions of roofs and stuff. Questioning back to kind of circling around where Michael had talked about, are you guys thinking that we're going to need that a turn lane or deceleration lane on Military Trail for the buses, or how I actually just because both teams have buses?
Well, I think I could jump in on this one, Sam. I think the number of buses at 4 to 5 buses that we've been told are going to be so relatively small for this campus that there may not be a need for a decel lane on Military. And that would be something that we would work out, of course, with the county, with yourselves, to make sure that we, you know, have the correct components. But we've got lots of opportunity and lots of room once we move buses to the Military Trail side.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thanks, Glenn. Are there any additional questions from the committee for PGAL? Okay, we will now ask all PGAL team members to disconnect from the Google Meet. And at this time, we will take a 5-minute recess to allow the next presenting firm, Song & Associates, to enter the meeting. Please stand by.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
morning. It is now 10:05 a.m. My name is Ian Superville. I'm a construction purchasing agent for the School District of Palm Beach County, and I am being assisted today by our documents analyst, Patricia Maroney. We will continue our selection committee meeting, which is being held virtually via Google Meet technology, as well as being broadcast live and recorded. The purpose of today's meeting is to select the top ranking proposer to be awarded a design contract for Grove Park Elementary School modernization. We have our committee members and presenting firms joining us via Google Meet, and our public attending via the various methods available on the district's public information website. Should we encounter technical difficulties at any time during our meeting, we will need to recess until those issues are resolved. Committee members and presenting firms, please do not leave the Google Meet. A few reminders of proper virtual meeting etiquette before we begin. Please keep your mics muted while not speaking and be mindful of background noises. Remember, you and your background are visible. Video, voice, and chat comments are being recorded. Let us begin by introducing our committee members. Please state your name and who you represent for the record as you are called upon. Glenn?
Hi, it's Glenn Armbrust with School District, Senior Project Administrator in Facilities Construction.
Thank you, Glenn. Patrick?
Good morning, Patrick Kuzosom, Office of Diversity.
Thank you, Patrick. Aaron?
Good morning, this is Aaron Howard, Senior Project Administrator with Facilities Construction.
Thanks, Aaron. Shams?
Good morning, this is Shams Mogadam with Building Code Services, Electrical Engineer.
Thank you, Shams. Michael?
Good morning, Michael Owens, Senior Planner with the District's Planning Department.
Thank you, Michael. And David?
David Porter, Chair of the Construction Oversight and Review Committee. I'm an architect, and I am not with the school district. I'm a volunteer.
Thank you, David. Next, we will record attendance of our second firm presenting, Song and Associates. Please identify yourself by full name, beginning with Jill. Please unmute your mic. You can start introductions, Jill.
Thank you. Can you hear me efficiently now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Jill Lanigan with Song and Associates. I'm a principal of the firm, and I specialize in the planning and programming aspects of each project.
Lila Rowdy, Song and Associates. I'm both a licensed architect and certified general contractor.
Jorge Fuentes, Song Associates. I'm intended project manager for the project and I've worked with the school district quite a lot.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jorge Roasas, principal, and I'm the project architect.
And my name is John Quattrone. I'm a registered architect and lead AP, and I am one of our educational program leaders.
Jesus Noah, registered architect, senior project manager.
I'm Mike Linden, mechanical engineer, JLRD Engineers.
Doug Gableman, JLRD Electrical.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Some instructions to the committee. Committee members, should you have a question for a proposer, please direct your question to the appropriate team member by name before posing the question. Also acknowledge when your question has been sufficiently answered. Proposers, you will have 20 minutes for your presentation. I will let you know when you are down to your last 2 minutes. At that time, we will open the floor to an allotted 20 minutes of questions and answers. Or should we need more time, adjustments will be made. I will begin with Glenn and work my way through the committee alphabetically. If a committee member has a question for you, they will direct it to one of your team members. Please make sure your answer to their question is brief to allow committee members an opportunity to ask more than one question as time permits. Also, please remember this is not a marketing opportunity for your company. Please state your name before replying to the question. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No, we're ready to begin.
Before we begin our presentation, committee members, please turn off your cameras and mute your mics to avoid any echoes and feedback. Thank you. We will now begin with our second presentation from Song and Associates.
Thank you, and good morning again. On behalf of our entire team, we appreciate this opportunity to present to you today. For the presentation, we'll be following your criteria as our agenda for the day. You met a few of our team members, but we really believe the critical component of the project is to ensure that we function as a total team and have appropriate and effective engagement with all the stakeholders. That includes the school district staff, the staff of Grove Park Elementary, and of course the parents and students and faculty of the school, as well as the regulatory agencies. You met a few of our team members that are here with us today. We also have on the team Jazernak Group for structural engineering, Jay Morton for landscape, Civil Design Inc. for civil engineering, as well as a few specialty consultants, Jax for food service design, Simmons & White for traffic, and Ed Duggar's team for acoustical design. We've worked with this team extensively on many school district projects, and we're very proud of our history serving school district of Palm Beach County. Together, working with JLRD and also through CM at Risk Delivery, we have brought 7 FEFPA awards to School District of Palm Beach County and have been recognized 8 times by American School and University. And we're very proud of that relationship. So to begin with approach and methods, we've identified a few things that we believe are the key success factors for this project. First of all, efficient school plan. We need to design to the cost per student station, but bringing the highest benefit for the dollars spent. We need to achieve high energy efficiency, and John will talk in a moment about designing at a target of 25 EUI. Adaptability. We know that change is the one thing you can count on happening, and things like pandemic responses and technology advancements need to be able to be easily incorporated into the school. And finally, and probably most important, we always prioritize security and safety. So to begin with the efficient school, we worked through SREF and identified the quantity and types of spaces that would be needed to achieve the 650 student stations. And we understand in that education doesn't just take part in the classroom, but throughout the entire campus. So we need to make sure we're effectively activating all the spaces throughout the campus.
This is John Quattrone. And following up on the concept of an efficient school plan, right sizing of spaces is essential. It's essential to do that in order to meet the cost per student station. So there are 2 pieces to that. Reduce the cost per square foot with efficient construction systems and optimize the use of every space by right sizing. We have found in building several schools now that an optimized classroom size of about 800 square feet works very well, works with all the furniture. We've also developed a universal bathroom configuration via this compact vestibule that you see on the right-hand side, and that is adaptable either to primary level restroom configuration or intermediate level restroom configuration. In terms of energy use intensity, or EUI, there are a number of ways to get there in terms of design strategies, but an average school building has an EUI of 54, and that is an energy use measurement based on a square foot basis annually. We have recently designed a building that will do better than an energy use intensity of 25. Part of that is reducing the air infiltration through a very efficient building envelope, but also the type of glass, the type of insulation. So what this does, it sets you up in the future to go to net zero because you've made a very efficient school. And so the only component that is missing now is the photovoltaics. So you can decide to do that at some point in the future as the price of that continues to go down.
Next, as a goal, adaptability. As I said, change is the one constant, and the school needs to be designed for flexibility. The way to do that in the classroom setting and all the instructional spaces is to have as few fixed elements and as much movable furniture as possible. So your spaces can truly be multi-use so that you can achieve social distancing within the classroom. And we know that new products continue to roll out in response to this, including the image you see there of outdoor hand sanitizer stations. Little delay there. Next, prioritizing security and safety for a functional, safe, and secure campus. We understand that this campus, Grove Park, has a very high percentage of walkers, which we need to prioritize having safe pedestrian paths throughout the campus and arrival to the campus for those. We also know on those torrential rain days that you're going to have a lot of cars in parent pickup. It's very important with proximity to Military Trail, accommodate all of the parent pickup stacking on site. And we have calculated that and looked for ways to even expand beyond the required. In our methodology for design analysis, we have an integrated programming and investigation process that really looks at three things. We look at the programming and the educational adequacy, we look at the building code and functional analysis, and we look at costs, not only the initial constructability, but also the maintenance and life cycle cost of the building. Digging a little deeper, and especially when we're dealing with an existing site and existing buildings, we want to make sure we do a thorough assessment of both the physical and the educational adequacy of that school. Those are each 50% of the puzzle, so really have to be incorporated together. We're going to talk next about some of the site constraints and things we know about the site. This is giving you an overview of the site in red with Military Trail to the west and Investment Lane to the south. And analyzing the existing school and its current function, we can see the primary pedestrian paths of the students would be from the west, so they're crossing the road and coming from the north and south on Military Trail and coming into the site. The parent and visitor parking is, the parent loop and visitor parking is currently along Military Trail, and this is somewhat problematic. We do know that there's the possibility of a deceleration right turn lane needing to be added along North Military Trail to accommodate that stacking. It's currently not functioning efficiently in that way. The bus drop off is currently off of Investment Lane to the south. We also have delivery to the cafeteria and dining, which is happening at the north end. And we've looked at the existing utilities. We know that they're mostly coming from the north property line with the lift station and water meters in that location.
So as we started going through the possible designs approach, we engaged in conversations with our consultants, including our MEP team, our civil engineers, and our traffic engineering, which was key in developing the options, as you can see on the screen, and developing our final two options that we're going to present momentarily. So we know our site, we know the existing buildings, and we, based on this, we proposed our first approach to be developing the holding school as a phase one. That includes the actual parent drop-off circulation that we are proposing to be changed into the investment lane south of the building. This, we we decided this upon some conversations with our traffic engineer as the best way to relieve the traffic congesting the military trail, and then moving what will be the bus drop-off and staff parkings down to the west side of the campus. After our site is done, our first option proposes the development of a two-story building with a partial one-story area north to the site where the dining, music, and art classrooms will be located. As we know, the budget is a key element. We have proposed to keep the media and classrooms under this option to remain as is, with minor renovations to bring them up to date, including HVAC renovations, some lighting, and some miscellaneous renovations throughout the buildings for this option. When moving into the two-story portion of the building, as you will see on the screen, basically it's the classroom wing along with the administration area down south. Basically what this does is proposes an approach that condenses the building and proposes for an efficient circulation throughout the building with close monitoring of the admin staff. In regards to the site, and this is something that you will see in both approaches, as I mentioned, we are proposing parent drop-off at the south investment lane with the existing deceleration lane, which actually will help the off-site stacking, but we're actually increasing and bettering the conditions of the on-site stacking by almost moving all of the parents and cars into the site and avoiding further conflicts on the investment lane and or military road. Then on the west side of the campus, we're proposing a bus loop up to the district standards along with a staff parking on that west side of the campus. One thing important, as Jill mentioned, is the amount of walkers and the pedestrian circulation on the site. And because of that reason, we're proposing celebrating that corner, that intersection between military and investment with an entry courtyard for pedestrian access that will connect to the entry zone of the schools and the point of entry on the administration. That's besides the already existing accesses from investment lanes that will also connect to that parent drop-off area. So this two-story option, and something that you will see also similar on the one-story, on the other option that we're going to present, it's basically a 63,000 square feet building, which is what we found was going to be doable under the budget that we have for the project. So we're meeting the amount of classrooms needed. We're meeting the budget that the district currently has by, well, first adding the building and bettering the condition of the existing two buildings to remain. There are a few views, renders of the developed options, as you can see on the screen. This is from Military Road. Still from that corner, as you can see, engaging that intersection, military and investment, and that pedestrian access. This is a view from the parent drop-off coming into a single point, secure point of entry. And other view from the bus loop going into that same access to the building. Now, moving into the second option, we felt that we needed to do another type of approach that gives you an opportunity to explore the site in a different way. Based on that, again, and going into the holding school portion of the work, we're proposing a phase one construction of the parent drop-off area that will later serve the school, and then having the holding school at the west side of at the east side of the property. When moving into the actual building, the proposed option, it's a one-story building. As you can see, basically it works similarly as the other options, but I'll go through the details. Difference, obviously, that it's a one-story that extends further to the east side of the property. Basically, putting some limits on that area northeast of the building and securing that for proposed sports areas as well as exterior courtyards for students. One other thing that we did in option 2 is that we're proposing for the existing building 5, which is the building on the south portion, to be changed into the administration building, which will provide a secure point of access from both the bus loop and the parent drop-off that will later lead to a lobby that will connect to the classroom wing, all through interior spaces. It is important to say that this option is interchangeable with option 1, the possibility of having this building renovated to fit this program and have it used as an admin area. again, in terms of the program, the north portion of the building will be the dining areas, music and arts. And important to mention in here is that the relationship that this is creating between the dining and the media as an exterior courtyard that they could use not only for students, but if the school decides to engage in possible use for the public and performances and whatnot. All of this will be enclosed within the building's limits, so it will be a secure access. Then on the back of the campus, after demolition of the actual portals, we'll have the sports areas along with some exterior courtyards for students to use. So basically this sums up our option 2. Here's a view of how that might work within the site and how that might look. We feel that we're creating a better circulation for the parents. We're creating a better circulation for the way the buses and the staff engages within the site. And very important to the site, we're engaging the pedestrian accesses through that development of the courtyard at the intersection between Investment and Military Road. Some additional views. This will be from the bus loop to that secure point of entry. Now moving into the scale of the budget, I'm going to leave you guys with Lila.
Hi, everyone. Okay, what we did was we based a schedule based on the dates that were provided in the RFP, the need for that on-site holding school, and a September board approval. Of course, these dates can change and be tweaked, but based on these assumptions, we created this schedule, which basically makes the design package broken up into 3 submission packages. We'll be breaking it up into phase 1, which would comprise the holding school, that partial site, the development of the parking lot on the south side, and the demolition package for the existing building. This would also allow us to go ahead and get 2 GMPs for this process, because we would also require a demolition package, phase 2 for the new and renovation components. Showed as a little black dot, we're proposing that if this is the way we're proceeding, based on the dates, the portables, or the holding school actually, needs to be moved very priority at the front end. This gives us the first 3 months to get a firm, solid building footprint and overall concept for the site, and allows us to go ahead and move into 2 months of making sure that we can get the package in for the holding school, the south parking lots, and the demolition, creating that GMP, to then move into allowing the holding school to be completed by June 2021, and the rest of the dates is stated as RFP, substantial completion and of the fields and the buildings in May and September of 2023.
So now moving into the budget, we use a few comparables of projects that we have done more recently. For example, Cypress Park Elementary School in Osceola County, and this will be our base for a comparison. The same thing, we got some information from our Michigan Avenue Elementary School. The first one was close to our 650 stations. This one has a few more stations, but we came up with the cost per square feet that will be suitable for our project. As you can see on the screen for our budget, as the first option is the comparable. We did ended up Cypress Park with $171 per square feet, but to that we know that time has passed by, so we added an additional 20% to that for yearly escalation and the location factor for South Florida, which ended up being approximately $205 per square feet. Now, when it comes to our actual project and going first to...
Excuse me, Jorge?
Yes.
You have 2 minutes left. Thank you.
Thank you. So the one-story option, basically, we have some site work. We accommodated $2.2 million per conversations with our civil engineer. We estimate the cost of the existing building based on that square footage cost to be approximately $10.5 million for a 62,000 square feet building, which is what we actually designed for. Then we added to that some of the demolition and site clearing cost And it's something very important. We have to account for some renovation work to happen in buildings 4 and 5, which will be the ones remaining to that. So we expected that to be around $600,000 per square feet. We ended up with a 13.7 approximate cost for the building with the added 20% CM fees to get a GMP of approximately $16.4 million. And going into the one-story option, we had some savings because we actually reduced the square footage by 1,000 or 1,500 square feet. So we ended up with a $16.3 million for the budget, actually being under the district. The state allocated 16.7 per student station cost.
Okay, and we, of course, benchmark the cost as we go and develop the project at each milestone. And we just wanted to, in summary, tell you that our K-12 team, this K-12 team designated for the project is ready to begin. You see our current projects there with School District of Palm Beach County are in final stages of construction, and a few there that are permitted and beginning construction. During the 3rd and 4th quarters of 2020, we will have only the renovation and repair project happening at West Tech. So this team is ready and available to start the project. And just to wrap up, we are 25 years serving the School District of Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County founded and headquartered. This is our home. We're a minority and woman-owned business, and education is our core business. We have the longest periodic performance evaluation history with the district, over 45 projects, over 26 years, and consistently above average. I think that includes more than 300 individual PPEs. We're always learning and adapting and improving to bring you the best services. This is a proven team, and we're ready to begin. So with that, we'll take your questions.
Thank you, Jill. At this time, we will open up the floor to the 20-minute question and answer session. Let's begin with Glenn.
Hi, Jill. Hi. I had questions. I mean, if you guys can pull up the first rendition that you had up, which I think included leaving the portables as is. My big question is that if we have to keep this as a holding school, which I'm hoping we don't, but if we have to keep this as a holding school and we need to keep costs down, existing portables sitting on ground, I don't want to think that we really want to move those around prior to any construction happening. So your first approach left everything intact, but I think your second approach kind of moves those portables around, which once again adds added cost to us. Am I right in what I was looking at?
Yeah, Glenn, good point. Basically, on our first approach, we do keep all the portables in place and then add the required additional portables for the holding school that's coming into the site or not. Then our second approach, and I'm going to bring that up to the screen in a minute. It does remove the existing portables at the south. It keeps only one of the lines of portable. One of the reasons that we developed this first is to we think that this engages the site in different ways than the first option, and there's the possibility of the holding school to be or not to be within the site. So we felt important to explore not only the capacities of the site, but to give you maybe an option that if the holding school does end up being outside our site, that we have something that can better respond to the site where it belongs.
Okay. And while you got that one up, I mean, I like the fact that you got the admin building over there because that becomes more of a single point of access. You know, the buses coming in, the parents coming in and stuff like that. The only thing I don't really like about it is the media center's kind of sitting out there all by itself, not connected to anything. But you know, that could work in our favor, but as far as students go, to me, it's not a real good option.
So
we envision that actually engaging the media center with the dining and also music and art, that plaza in between could really be developed as a really usable outdoor space serving both media as well as cafeteria, and music and art could flow out into that as well. as needed.
Yeah, I like the plaza. It's just the connectivity of that building just kind of sitting out there by itself. Everything else is going to be undercover, but that's the only building we'd have to go outside of. But I like portions of it, but just having that building out there is just kind of a little scary to me. Yeah. That's all I got. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Glenn. Patrick?
Yes, good morning again. As you know, this project has a minimum 15% goal for SBE. So how much you plan to achieve on this project?
So first of all, I did want to note Song & Associates recently graduated from the SBE program. So we're very proud of the growth and success that our team has had, and especially owing to the opportunities provided to us as a small business. But we take that very seriously, and we spend a lot of time mentoring other small businesses. All of our primary consultants for this, Civil Designing, Chazernak Group, and JLRD, are SBEs with the district. And so the percentages will be well above the goal.
Can you give me a number? You don't have a number?
I think when we calculated, we were above the 30% SBE participation, again, because basically all the consultants will be SBEs and have worked with us as SBE in the past. So we'll be above the 30%, maybe closer to 35.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Aaron, any questions?
No, sir, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Shams?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Shams. Michael?
Yes, good morning. Just a couple things. Both options, they were two-story options or one-story options? I wasn't quite sure.
So the first option is a two-story option, and I'm going to bring that up in the screen in a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Where the classroom building will be the two-story portion of it. Then the second option is a one-story option.
Okay.
It has to extend it further to the east side of the campus.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I did like, and I agree with Glenn. I did like the changing of the kindergarten space to admin, and I did like the addition of that circular, what do you call it? The circular courtyard, the entry courtyard. I think that was a good idea, and I do share his concerns about the media center. But one last thing, with regards to your estimated budget, was it 16.4 or 16.7?
16.4. The 16.7 is the maximum per cost per presentation. The budget is actually 16.5, so we cannot even get close to that. We should not. So we stayed within the budget, below the budget, and actually a good portion of it is given to the fact that we're trying to reuse those existing buildings. We find that to be imperative to the project in order to achieve the budget and achieve the budget goal for the school district.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. David?
Yeah, very nicely done. I like the schematic, showing us the schematics you went through. And I really like the corner access for all the walkers. My office for the last 29 years is kind of catty corner from this at Northlake and Military. So I've driven by the school lots and lots and lots of times to see all the kids heading from the south walking north on Military to get into the school. So I think that's ideal. I like the one-story and two-story studies that you did. I think you utilized the site in a very efficient way. I also like that you maintain the two buildings that we think we have to retain instead of thinking that we might be able to get rid of those. That's probably still to be determined, but at least your approach schemes show us that we can still get a really nice improvement to this overall campus and education experience with keeping what we have to. So also on your PPEs, I will commend you that the PPEs have existed for 20 years maybe, and your
26 actually.
Okay, and your recent ones have come up quite a bit. So there has been a transformation within the firm to be attentive to that and to service. So I commend you on your presentation.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thanks, David. Do we have any further questions from the committee members for Song and Associates? Glenn?
Of course, you know I'm going to make them use all their time. So going back have you guys or have you even looked at or thought about the fact of custodiating the two buildings out and what you might do in place of it?
We did consider the option. One of the things that we understand, and I'll leave some of the rest of the answers to Jill, is that when it comes to that, we'll have to rethink the way the budget works, the 16.5 and how we can, first demolish and build that additional square footage that accounts for approximately 17,000 additional square feet to the building. So, Jill, any additional?
Yeah, I think for us, it always comes down to not just what is the construction cost and what can we build, but it's really about spending the dollars in the places where they're going to bring the most benefit to the children and to the educational process. So we find that those two existing buildings seem to be very simple structures and very easy to adapt to their needs, even with a deeper remodeling to put admin in the classroom building. We think that can be achieved and really allow us to focus our budget dollars where they count.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions from the committee? Okay, thank you. We will now ask all Song and Associates team members to disconnect from the Google Meet. At this time, we will take a 5-minute recess to allow the next presenting firm, Ciscovich, to enter the meeting. Please stand by. morning. It is now 10:48 a.m. My name is Ian Superville. I'm a construction purchasing agent for the school district of Palm Beach County, and I'm being assisted by our document analyst, Pat Maroney. We will continue our selection meeting, which is being held virtually via Google Meet technology, as well as being broadcast live and recorded. Purpose of today's meeting is to select a top-ranking firm to be awarded a design services contract for Grove Park Elementary School modernization. We have our committee members and presenting firms joining us via Google Meet, and our public attending via the various methods available on the district's public information website. Should we encounter technical difficulties at any time during our meeting, we will need to recess until those issues are resolved. Committee members and presenting firms, please do not leave the Google Meet. A few reminders of proper virtual meeting etiquette before we begin. Please keep your microphones muted when not speaking and be mindful of background noises. Remember, you and your background are visible. Video, voice, and chat comments are being recorded. Let us begin by reintroducing our committee members. Please state your name and who you represent for the record as you are called upon. Glenn?
Hi, it's Glenn Armbruster with School District Palm Beach County. The SBA on this project from Facilities Construction.
Thank you, Glenn. Patrick?
Good morning. I'm Patrick Chrysostom, Office of Diversity Manager.
Thank you, Patrick. Aaron?
Good morning. This is Aaron Howard with Facilities Construction. I'm an SPA.
Thank you, Aaron. Shams?
Good morning. This is Shams Mogadam. I work for Building Code Services. I'm an electrical engineer.
Thank you, Shams. Michael?
Good morning. Michael Owens, Senior Planner with the School District's Planning Department.
And David?
David Porter, licensed architect, chair of the Construction Oversight and Review Committee, and volunteer, not a district school employee.
Thank you, David. Next, we will record attendance of our third and final firm presenting, Ciscovich. Please identify yourself by full name, beginning with Jose.
Jose Merguido, Ciscovich Architects. Hello, Mike McGuinn from Ciscovich Architects.
Good morning, Martha Pedreda, Ciscovich Architects.
Good morning, George Del Castillo, Ciscovich Architects.
Chuck Gableman, JLRD. Mike Linden, JLRD. John Schmidt, Landscape Architect.
Shane DeFatti, Consulting, Civil Engineers.
Ivan Baisa, DDA Engineers, Structural.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, should you have a question for a proposer, please direct your question to the appropriate team member by name before posing the question. Also acknowledge when your question has been sufficiently answered. Proposers, you will have 20 minutes for your presentation. I will let you know when you are down to your last 2 minutes. At that time, we will open up the floor to an allotted 20 minutes of questions and answers. However, should we need more time, adjustments will be made. I will begin with Glenn and work my way through the committee alphabetically. If a committee member has a question for you, they will direct it to one of your team members. Please make your answer to their question brief to allow committee members an opportunity to ask more than one question as time permits. Also, please remember this is not a marketing opportunity for your company. Please state your name before replying to the question. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No.
Before we begin our presentation, committee members, please turn off your cameras and mute your mics to avoid echoes and feedback. Thank you. We'll now begin our third and final presentation from Ciscovich.
Okay, how do we load us up? Okay, and you'll let us know when the clock is on.
good?
We're good, Jose. You can start.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone, and good morning. I am absolutely delighted to be here this morning and share with you our approach, our budget, and our schedule for Grove Park Elementary School. We've been working on it for some time now. You had the pleasure of meeting our group, but the one thing that we didn't tell you is that this team has been together for a very long time, working over 32 schools in Palm Beach County alone. And the team was also a very diversified team. We have exceeded the MB goals of 15 by over 20%. So that is an important component of our team composition. And it's also a component of who we are. We have consistently, in 2019, over 40% of our consultant fees were paid to MBE firms. So we're proud to support the diversity and the growth of our engineering and consulting community. So with that, I'm going to start with the approach of the project. And many of you have seen this today a couple of times, but the school itself is kind of a tired school. We had the pleasure of walking it, but we didn't really see this, but when you find what's going on in the school, what you see on the outside doesn't really capture what's happening on the inside. It's really exciting stuff going on inside the school. And we call that kind of the Grove Park secret. We think it's a secret because it's not much known. This is the enrollment trends that Grove Park has experienced. And you could see in 2015 there was a sharp decline. And the reason for that is that that's the year that the school received an F grade. That's a death nail. But what we don't know, and what the secret is the remarkable turnaround that's going on in this school. It's reinventing itself. And that's, in fact, the approach that we're bringing to this particular project. We're going to reverse it, and we're going to actually transform this school and correct, and this will be a magnet for this community. So Grove Park our approach is to basically go through a transformative type project. And this is not the first time we've done this. A very similar project in, of course, Galaxy. It had 200 students on the verge of closing. And of course, many of you are familiar with Galaxy Elementary. When you take a curriculum program and new facilities and great teachers and put it together, you get a great school. And this one had been turned around. It's over 600 students in the school. Hamilton in Seminole County, the same thing. We remodeled this particular school, and it is from 200 to 700 students. So that transformation is something we're very, very familiar with. But there's another transformation happening at this time, which is a transformation that's occurring in curriculum. It's occurring in the state resources allocated for schools, as we are very familiar with the student station funding, and then the necessary right sizing and programming. And then the new thing that we're all dealing with, of course, is the pandemic, the new normal, and how that's affecting school design. And we're going to be addressing that for this school. As far as the curriculum is concerned, the most exciting thing going on is the introduction of the IB program at this school. It will be a world school, a premier curriculum, and it will also set them up for feeding into the middle and high school. So that's going to be an important component of rebranding the school. And the school will be rebranded with the $25,744 per student station funding, which is it's a lean amount of money considering the number of improvements and staging and things that will happen. And then, of course, added to that is how we're dealing with the COVID-19 and then enhanced mechanical systems on projects. So right sizing is going to be essential, setting it up right initially. And finding that right balance is something that we've been working on for the last 4 months with the district, and in fact our partner on that project is Moss on Elementary 05C in Boca Raton. That also has a very, very small site, but it has the very, very same challenges. And that we have the building program just below 100 square feet. But there's something remarkable in that building, which is that it's actually a scaled copy of what we need for Grove Park. When we program Grove Park, it's 100 square feet per student. student, just under 65,000 square feet. It's only the first 2 stories of the prototype 05C. So it sets us up with a running start on that particular project and a quick transformation. Also, 05C has enhanced mechanical systems. We're setting it up as one of the first well buildings, which is important when you're trying to bring parents back to a school that has been under-enrolled, that'll be a safe environment for students and teachers. So when we start, we always start from a planning perspective and look at the big picture and where the kid's coming from. And this is the attendance boundaries on there. Of course, they're coming from the southwest, which means that as we look at the traffic on the site, and you've seen much of this today, I'm sure, but that signal at Military Trail is absolutely imperative to the circulation of the school. Right now, of course, the drop-off is at the front. It has a minor queue on one side, and then, as Glenn reminded us of the walkthrough, it's a nightmare for parents on Military Trail. So that's a hurdle that we're going to have to deal with. And of course, the bus queue is somewhat compressed in there. As far as utilities are concerned, adequate utilities, thankfully, but we do know that there's a major overhead power line on Military Trail that will be a consideration as we plan this project. And of course, we're grateful for the wonderful buffer that's to the east of the school that provides a good buffer with the community. And there's a low spot here, which is something to consider for both portables and any particular expansion. So when you add it all together, it's a tiny site. So what's also going on is there's an ongoing Castaldi, as we know, and it's in round 1. And many of us know that Castaldis actually are documents that require little negotiation. We've got multiple rounds that go around. We've done many ourselves in this. But as we walk the Castaldi, which was recommending demolition of all of the buildings there, there's a few buildings that are questionable, primarily buildings 4 and 5, the library and the classroom building to the south. So our solution, our approaches are going to take these 2 things into account. So as we looked at the site of our approach to the building, we basically have three approaches that we considered, and one we discounted. The assumption common to all of them is anything that we're displacing, we're replacing with a portable. Now, we know that there's capacity on this campus because its enrollment is about 500, and there's over 1,000 satisfactory student stations in there. But having said that, for the purpose of today, looking at replacing anything that we displace. So make a site is our first approach, which is if we demolish the existing building, we basically have to do a replacement campus on that. It takes steps of putting the replacement campus, building the new building, and then tearing down the replacement campus. 3 steps, takes time. The other side, the other approach is perhaps we find a site, some place we could fit the building in that allows basically a reduction of the number of portables, because portables are a sunk cost. After you use them, they don't contribute to the education of the school. It's simply a staging area. And then finally is the shifting of the site. Perhaps there's a way of reducing the number of steps on this project and leaving it only at 2 steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these 2 options and test them out. And as you guys well know, this is one of many options that we work with you guys on, and your participation will shape these. So for the purpose of demonstrating our approach, we're just going to share with you how would we approach this. So finding a site, we call this our welded concept. And what we're doing is we're going to be basically setting up portables to displace what's going on in buildings 4 and 5, library component in the classrooms that are there. And we will build a bus loop and a parent drop-off, because the reason that we're doing that is we're going to weld a building to those existing buildings there off the front. It'll be a bar building that would basically face Military Trail and would create a park to the south. There'd be a long extended parent drop-off loop with about 950 linear feet and an extended bus drop-off to the north area. And this is precisely what we did at Seminole County when we did Hamilton Elementary School, and we were able to renovate the existing buildings. And we would take the media center and renovate that into a kitchen / back of house, and then build buildings, 5 into an admin and classroom building, and the rest of the program would be in a 2-story bar building facing military and providing a covered walk off a lower playground area. The Castaldi that we were looking at, as we studied that within this option, we had to drill a little bit more into detail on it. We realized that there's some major costs that perhaps could have been highlighted there and would have made the evaluation of those buildings perhaps go a different direction. And we think there's opportunities to supplement that. We all know that there's a new code coming in 2021, January. The structural components of that, and Ida can attest to this, will be 15% higher. So those costs are going to have a burden on any of the future improvements of those buildings. Phasing as well, and the disruption that is putting to the campus, especially in a campus that's struggling to maintain its enrollment. And those dollars in phasing are sunk costs. And then, of course, we all know that many times when we complete renovations, we wish we would have rebuilt the thing because all those unknowns that you discover as you're going through that. So that led us to basically a shifting site. And the shift was generally to use a super compact post-pandemic school that I had mentioned in the beginning that we had just programmed. This is a tiny footprint site because 05C site has many of the same parameters of this site. So as we look at the existing campus now, what we would do is basically designate an area to the east where we would be able to build a new building and require no new portables. And the campus would generally be ongoing with minimal disruption in that. And then we would basically demolish the existing campus and replace it with a park. We would bring the park back to Grove Park. And this is how the building would sit on that campus. Since it is a compact 2-story building, there would be a administration piece in the middle, that pink area here. Let me move this over here. I really miss my pointer. And what we're showing here in these purple lines is how students would access the site. Also allows us to stand in one particular place and visually supervise all bus and drop-off traffic. The parent drop-off is extensive in this solution. It's 3 times the usual. It's over 2,400 linear feet. So that's essential. So we could collect all of the traffic within the site and minimize the burden onto military. And the same is true for the buses. We have over 15 buses we get in here, which eliminates the need of having to make any improvements. And we bring all of the buses on site. A signature entrance there. The PE shelter is located strategically in the center, and the kindergarten play is on the east side of the campus. The building is designed with a secure entrance in here, so it's a funnel entry. Then beyond that, a welcoming center, and it has the whole assortment of signature type spaces. The kitchen area here, dining, music, and serving area here. A very, very simple supervision. Media, the admin area here with a simple corridor that allows you to get into the classroom spaces. And the 2-story is a very, very simple building that stacks on top of it, but it does have a signature media center, which is important, and a signature technology and tech lab and science lab on the 2nd floor. So this knuckle is an important component. All of the classrooms are designed 21st century with flexible furniture and natural lighting. And this will give you a little bit of a flavor as to what this school will start looking like. You can see investment in this area here, Investment Avenue, and the drop-off coming along this way here. Once the existing school is torn down, you now have the community invited into the school with a magnificent park in the center. You can see how the buses would be able to come in, ample queuing on site, minimizing the impact onto military. The PE shelter in this area. We're also keeping the existing one because it's really out of the way. And then there is an exciting new face to the building to create a transformation and recognizing the IB and the wellness program that is in the building. You can see the kindergarten play area in the back. Here's our expansion and portable area here and the service yard, and plenty of buffering to our neighbors to the north and east. So that gives you kind of a nice little snapshot snapshot of what we're thinking. It'll be an international baccalaureate world school, a transformation, and a far cry from what was there, and the kind of facility to really reflect the wonderful things that are going on in the school at this time. That's kind of the signature shot of the building. So as we looked at the two approaches, the significant differences are that whatever we were spending in the portables and in those phases, we're now bringing it into the building. So we believe that we can take the construction schedule from 24 months to 14 months. And Mike is going to get into a little bit more detail of that. But the bottom line is we're going to be saving a ton of money with this move, we believe. And speaking of saving money,
we're going to save time and money. So the idea here is that also recognizing the world that we're living in. Apologize to take off my mask so you can hear me a little better. Recognizing the conditions of where we're at in the overall economy, the various pieces that are going on in the world is a very important factor in where things are going with inflation and construction costs and so forth. We're seeing that most significantly right now. 2 elementary schools we just bid and went to the board and were approved in Polk County last week, but $220 a square foot. We have a current pulse on the elementary school funding market and that scale of project. We're seeing that those things are happening now as far as the softening of the market. We need to take advantage of that. You need to take advantage of that. And that's why we believe our team is particularly set up to act now. We looked at your schedule and looked at the 23 school year opening and so forth, and we recognized there's a lot of phases there, a lot of complexity in that factor. That all adds to dollars, no matter which way you look at it. So that's why in both of the items that you looked at from our solutions, we looked at compressing those possibilities, and we're feeding right off of that with our experience at O5C, where, and you can see on other elementary school projects you have going on, those elements are possible. Securing the approved custody is going to be absolute number one, because that's going to drive your design and what we need to do. We have a lot of experience in that, and as we noted, there's a lot of items that need to be added to that so we can make sure that that goes appropriately. We've already gone through the right sizing and the programming. We have a tested team to do that, and that's going to allow us to get speed to the market. Why is that important? Well, this is the kind of overlay that we were talking about before with how things are laid out and where the possibility of gaining time is. Right sizing the program is obviously going to be the first critical step, as we talked about, but utilizing the prototype design means that by the beginning of 2021, we believe we can have a design ready to go. And that is so critical, because then we can get the GMP right when the market is the ripest. We know that we all went through this back in 2008, 2010. Those shovel-ready projects that are ready to go can take advantage of that market and expedite the pieces going forward. The options that we presented enable a compact construction element right with that right size program, and therefore can be done in only 330 days, and then allow for the right time for school move-in, adaptation over the summer, and get everything else completed. We believe we can complete this project a year early. We all know that that's going to have definite impact on the savings. We've analyzed that for both approaches. You can see here in the welded approach, we have to create a temporary site with the portables. We've measured the new construction, the renovation construction.
2 minutes left, Mike. Excuse me, 2 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. The structural upgrades that Jose spoke about earlier that we know are going to be required in those existing buildings, those are pre-Andrew buildings, pre-change to the building codes. We know that there's going to be significant changes there, and we'd love to answer any questions that you have on that piece. But all within that project and that option, we are at or below budget, and we are below the construction timeline. On the catalytic move, we have 0 portables. We're putting it all into new construction. We allow for the demolition, and obviously there's minimal to no school disruption. That allows for the interesting things and the great things that are going on there to happen. With that piece, we are below the funding budget that is allowed, and we exceed the criteria for all of those items. We have a long history with you as a school district in constructing buildings that are easy to build, simple to operate, have low energy costs. Hope Centennial is right there at one of the cheapest for you all to operate energy-wise in the entire district, and we continued that with Galaxy. All of these projects were done with CM at risk in an expedited fashion, and as I said before, energy efficient and low maintenance and easy to build.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. So this is why we think we're just the perfect team for this. We're people who transform schools, and that's exactly what we need. We have a state-of-the-art prototype ready to go. We're experts in these complex sites, as Mike had mentioned, not just for this particular site, but we're doing it right now on 05C. And we have post-pandemic strategies built into our mechanical systems. We've right-sized, so we have a running start on that specifically for an elementary school, not a K-8. This is an elementary right-sized program. We can offer an early opening, and this approach to building results in a lifetime of low operating savings and maintenance costs. So we can't wait to get started. We're excited about this project, and we respectfully request your consideration. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. At this time, I will open up the floor for a 20-minute question and answer session. Let's begin with Glenn.
Morning, Jose. How you doing?
Hey, Glenn. How are you?
Good. Hey, can you pull up the welded site plan?
Yeah.
I really like the fact that you guys have kind of thought outside the box on that thing. First of all, cost and schedule being one of the biggest things for me, and telling me and showing me that we can come in below both is really good. I really like the approach that you guys did with this welded school type thing. And I know that, I guess, you like you said about structural portions of it and like that, but it kind of opens up the campus to me to a place that I've never really looked at before, because I've always looked at the front of the school and the parking to be in the front of the school. But I like the way you guys did this. So can you expand a little bit on how you're going to weld and get these, and what you're going to renovate each one of those buildings into to be a part of the new school?
Right. So there was approximately 10,000 square feet in this building over here. So what we have is we have the administration area as kind of a knuckle building in this corner in here, for the obvious reasons that that's where the parent drop-off is going to be. Your visitor parking is going to be in this area. But also, we think that there will be an opportunity for the walk-ups to come up into this area. We believe that the walk-up traffic is light because of the traffic on a military trail. But the way that it works is we would actually be welding, physically connecting these buildings together and get rid of basically the porosity and the safety problem that you have on the building with circulation on the outside. So the building would be introverted. You have interior corridors leading in the whole building in here. We have an exterior play space, if you will, or learning activity off the kindergarten areas here, but the circulation to all the classrooms are internalized. We take the media center, and the media centers have been redesigned and reprogrammed because of the advent of technology. So we put that on the corner where it should be and celebrate it and help rebrand the school. And then we take the media center you currently have and use it basically as back-of-house space, provide our kitchen in this location here, and our dining facility as well in this area here. We can get natural lighting, the stage, music, the green rooms back here. That's your art lab there. And then the second floor just stacks right on top of it. It just comes right up like this. So that's generally what we plan, is basically 2 remodelings in this area, and then basically a bar building that's welded and internalizes all of the circulation. So we would basically be gutting this building, both of them.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. Sure.
I like that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Glenn. Patrick?
Yes. Jose, how much SBE participation you plan to achieve on this project?
Okay. We've got this slide right here. We have, 35%. So we're 20% over the minimum on this. So we're and as I mentioned, we're still working with the same people that we've been supporting for all of the years. So we're going to be a little over 35%.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick. Aaron?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Shams.
No questions, thanks.
Thank you, Shams. Michael?
Yes, good morning. With regards to how you doing?
Good, good.
All right. With regards to the welded concept, I realize that most of the students attending the school live, I guess, west and southwest of the site. Moving the vehicular access onto Investment Lane, even though I guess there's not a lot of traffic going, say, east to west, because you have the ingress-egress drive aisle so close to the project border, do you anticipate any sort of smaller right turn lane at all? I'm not sure what the traffic count will be. I know the students are supposed to be about 650. It's supposed to increase a bit.
We talk quite a bit about that, and Gene DeFonte's on the line as well. And we do have, I believe, the right of way along this area here to do it. But as you point out, the lion's share of the traffic is really coming from the southwest. So most likely, the turn lane would have to most likely be an expanded or maybe a dual left turn coming into the site here. As you go east on Investment, you got to go over 95 just to be able to get back. So it's not a traffic friendly location unless you're going to the beach or something. So there is a little right of way here, but due to the way that the intended boundaries are set up now, we don't think you're going to require it.
The other thing, if I could offer this, Mike, is that while it extends the turning in, we have more queue than the previous layout had, so we think we can accommodate everybody on campus as well. But it also extends the queue heading back out of the site and then back to Military, as they're all looking to get to that light, so then they can either turn left and go back down to Blue Heron or go up to north. So we think there's a positive by pushing it back further. Obviously, we'd have to meet with you, the planners, the team, and so forth to vet that out. But as Jose pointed out, the community to our east has no access down to Investment Lane. So, and the width of the right-of-way seems to be appropriate to get there. So I think we have a lot of opportunity to talk about there along that access point.
Understood. And if you could put up the site plan for the second option of the buildings more to the east.
24.
It looks great, but I just had a question with regards to, I guess, the chiller location. And I see there's adequate buffer. I mean, the these aren't that close. I'm sure they're probably either like 75 to maybe 80 feet away. Just by what we've experienced with other recent projects and chiller, I guess, noise, etc. I was wondering what you thought about the chiller and try to keep it down decibel level low, because everything is kind of pushed east close to the system.
Right. And this chiller would have an acoustic package. Yeah, and it would be, in this vicinity, in this area over here. Right. So that's something that, as you know, we'll be monitoring. We'll look at the receiving property line and manage the decibels there. But I think the savings that we have in the utilization of the site and the lack of portables makes the acoustic package seem like a very wise ROI for the benefit that you get. So you're absolutely right. We'll have to work well with the neighbors. This is kind of similar. I don't know if you remember when we did Congress. We had a similar situation where we were able to provide an acoustic package to everyone's satisfaction. Congress Middle, that is.
Yeah. And I do like on this one how you push most of the noise making, like with the kids and the PE to the west, and having the building as a buffer. So that I like that as well. I know there's a lower playground, but it seems like most of the noise will be on the multi-purpose and the PE. So that was a nice twist. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. David Porter?
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry, my camera is out. Doesn't know why it went out, but hopefully you can hear me and I'll ask my questions.
Yeah.
I like the welded approach. I really think we're going to get a lot of pushback from the catalytic approach with both the kindergarten playground between the school and the Garden Oaks residents. I agree with Michael too. I think I don't care what kind of chiller or acoustics you put into some type of building, it's still going to be a noise that's going to be impacted on residents that have not had anything except a nice grass field between them and the school for decades. So anyway, again, it's a study, kind of your approach direction, which was fine. And in terms of being able to get something done a year earlier than we anticipate, I would just then have to question whether the district even will have the funds a year earlier, because everything's kind of on a schedule, and when we have the money is also on a schedule. But I felt that you had done all the due diligence and studies, and it was a nice presentation.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You know, David, one of the things that we looked at, just to address the issue of that chiller, and I know we struggled with that as well. You know, one option is that we actually had it here by the PE building, and you know, you just had to run the refrigerant line. So one was, how do you spend the money as wisely as possible? So we didn't want to have to do the phasing in such a way where we would put the project at risk. But you know, if their funding is not in place, that's certainly something that could be looked at.
The current one's at the north side of the site as well.
The one that's currently facing serving the building now is up here.
Right. I guess my point was that those residents have been experiencing that for decades. So.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. They're used to it.
It's very nice there. It's under.
It helps them sleep at night.
Yeah.
The other comment I would have against that is the last with the building to the east is, again, you got the service yard that's literally within 15 or 20 feet of the back property line of some of the residents, and that's going to be, you know, delivery trucks and food trucks and other type of minimal noise. But again, still impacting residents that have had none of that impacting them.
Yeah, sure. Good points.
It's all by me. I'm done.
Thanks, David. Do we have any further questions from the committee for Ciscovich? Okay, we will now ask Ciscovich team members to disconnect from the Google Meet. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Committee members, is there anything additional you'd like to say before we commence with the scoring? I'll start off with Glenn.
Sure. I think just going and looking. I mean, all three of these firms are great. They've all done work with us. I've worked with all three of them, and I don't think we would go wrong with any of them. One thing that did surprise me is that the Castaldi report, which was done by Song & Associates, but they opted not to pursue anything on the Castaldi of the two buildings, which I'm not sure why. Looking at the Ciscovich, I'm not sure that I really like the second option. Once again, because I'm going through similar things at the school we're doing right now, where we have residents complaining about chiller noises and stuff. I like the welded portion of that. I mean, I think that was really thinking outside the box. I know that all of these presentations are, for all of us, are nice to look at now, but what we end up with is a lot of times different than what we see in these presentations, because we go through the stuff with the communities, we go through this, the FP&L moving of power lines for turn lanes and things like that. So, and there's a lot, and like I say, I really like the fact that all three of them looked at things in different ways and gave us different options. But what we see now is not exactly what we're going to be ended up getting. But I do like the approaches that they've made. PGAL, they did a very good job. Ciscovich, very good job. And Song Associates, all great jobs. So either way, anyway, we're going to win with any one of them. All right, that's all I got.
Thanks, Glenn. Patrick?
I echo Glenn. So all of these three firms, they are highly qualified to do the job on day one. That's all I have.
Thank you, Patrick. Aaron?
No, sir, nothing additional.
Thank you. Shams?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
My sentiments are similar to what's already been expressed.
Okay, and David?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Glenn said. I've been on a number of these, and I think that this might be the best approaches by any of the architects on previous selection committees, where they actually looked at the approach, didn't try to give us the real pretty picture fly around model like the building's already existing. Left it schematic, but did a number of thoughtful studies that allowed us to see what the possibilities might be. It was also nice to see, if reality sets in, that it looks like we have the budget to do what we might need to do. None of them came in saying, no, you guys are smoking something, you ain't gonna do it. So I agree. I think any one of the three are gonna be fine for what we need. That's all.
Thanks, David. The committee has concluded the discussion of all the presentations. The public comment phone line will now open via voice recorded message and will remain open for a 5-minute window. The public may offer comments relative to the content of the presentations. We will now take a short break to compile all messages and return live to hear those messages before the committee completes their scoring sheets. Please stand by.
Okay, we've got the phone number up. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now resume our meeting. We have had no public comments, and we will now continue with the scoring. Committee members, the scoring sheet has been emailed to you via the link to Google Drive. Please open, fill in your scores, and leave the score sheet open. Once completed, let Pat know via the chat box. Please communicate any problems via the chat box as well. Once we receive all completed score sheets, we will take a short break to tabulate scores. Please do not leave the meeting and be alert to resuming, as we will not be re-announcing the scores.
Patrick, are you ready with your scores? Okay, Ian, I have all committee member scores.
Okay, we have received all the scoring sheets and will now take a short break to tabulate the scores. Please stand by. It is now 11:54 a.m. and the meeting is back in session. All scores have been recorded. Committee members, please return to your Google score sheets and read me your ranking order as I call your name. Glenn Armbruster. PGAL?
2.
2. Song and Associates?
3.
3. Ciscovich?
1.
1. Thank you. Patrick. PGAL?
2.
2. Song and Associates?
2.
2. Ciscovich?
1.
1. Thank you. Aaron Howard. PGAL?
2.
2. Song and Associates?
3.
3. Ciscovich?
1.
1. Thank you. Shams. PGAL?
3.
3. Song and Associates?
1.
1. Ciscovich?
2.
2. Michael? PGAL?
3.
3. Song and Associates?
2.
2. Ciscovich?
1.
1. Thank you. David Porter, PGAL?
3.
3. Song and Associates?
1.
1. Ciscovich?
2.
2. Thank you. I will now announce the ranking positions. The top ranking firm will be recommended for an award. PGAL received 15 total points, ranking order 3. Song and Associates received 12 total points, ranking order 2. Ciscovich received 8 total points and ranks 1. Thank you for your attendance. This concludes today's meeting. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
all. All right, everyone. Be safe.
We believe that every student counts.
It was just substandard. It was built back in the 1960s, so it was very old school.